Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to day 2 of the holiday card series for 2016. Today I'm going to be using 2 brand new stamp sets from Mama Elephant, Merry Christmas Wishes and Woolly Winter. And I'm going to use the stamp set with those cute lambs, and I'm going to watercolor it with some distress inks. The watercolor paper I'm using today is hot pressed watercolor paper from Arches, and I'm going to be stamping the images in antique linen distress ink. I'm using this color in particular because I'm going to do some no-line coloring. And antique linen is a great soft pale shade that lends itself really well to no-line coloring. So I've stamped 3 of that same lamb image. The lamb's knitting a sweater or something, and then I have a bunch of these little images. So I'm going to go ahead and paint these using some distress inks. I'm going to turn on some music because it's quite lengthy, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, after all of that coloring, I'm going to use the coordinating dies that go with the stamp set and cut out all of these images. Because I have 3 of that same lamb image, I'm going to have to die cut the other 2 lambs separately. So after I have all of these done, I'm going to go ahead and put that die back on. It's held in place with a little bit of blue painter's tape. And I'll do that for both of the remaining lambs. So I have all 3 that are cut out. So I'm going to work on my card base. I'm making it out of some Neenah Desert Storm 100-pound cardstock, and I'm scoring it at 5.5 to create a top folding portrait card. And I'm going to take a circle die from Simon Says Stamp. This is from the Nested Circle die set. And I've die cut a circle window out of the front of the card. And now I have some window plastic. This is actually window plastic from Lifestyle Crafts. It's also called acetate, or you could use a piece of packaging or anything that's that clear material. And I'm using a slightly larger circle die to cut out another circle. And this is going to be the clear plastic that fills in that window on the front of the card. So I'm going to work on the inside of the card, and I'm taping off that top half just so I can stamp all the way up and over that fold and not have it go over onto the inside of the card. And I'm using the very large Merry Christmas sentiment from that other stamp set that I showed you at the beginning of the video. And I'm stamping it in Versamark ink. I want it to be really subtle on the inside of the card, and also so that I could write a message to the recipient over that area if I wanted to as well. So you can see how it's going to fold down, and you'll be able to see the interior of the card through that circle window that I cut with that circle die. So now I'm going to work on the actual greeting of the card that goes on the front of the card. Have a little sentiment from that same stamp set, and I'm using the smaller circle die that I used to cut. Actually, this is the larger circle die that I used to cut out the window plastic, and I just shaped that stamp all along that shape, and then stamped that down onto my card front. Now I'm embossing the stamped greeting, and because I wanted it to stamp really clearly, I did prep the area with an anti-static powder tool, stamped it in Versamark ink, and then applied some white embossing powder from Hero Arts. Heat set that till it was smooth and melted, and then I took some Ranger Multimedia Matte and put some of that adhesive around that circle window on the inside of the card, and then pressed my window plastic down onto that area. And I'm not going to bother covering up the adhesive on the inside. I think it'll be just fine. So I'm adhering all of those little pieces onto the front of the card over that circle window using some foam tape. Now the foam tape is going to show up on the inside the front of the card. If you don't want it to show up, you could die cut some more pieces and just adhere them right over the top, and then you wouldn't be able to see them. So I'm using some of that Ranger Multimedia Matte, and I'm drawing a little slope line and then applying some white embroidery floss. This is going to create sort of like a clothesline for all of my little knit pieces that these lambs are knitting. They're all going to be hanging on this line. So I'm going to cut off the ends so they're right to the edge of the card. And then I'm going to go ahead and make some little tiny bows that I'm going to adhere on both ends of this string. So I've just made some little itty bitty bows, and then I'll use some of that same adhesive, which is Ranger Multimedia Matte. I'll just squirt a little bit of that out and then adhere that bow directly onto the end of that string. This is going to give me a great place to place all of the stockings and mittens and sweater that I painted earlier. So I'm putting little itty bitty foam squares behind these pieces and then directly onto the card front. So this card is almost completely finished, but I did want to mention that I added a little bit of shimmer and sparkle to all of these elements using a Wink of Stella clear glitter brush pen. That just gives it a little bit more interest. Can't really see it too much on camera or even in the pictures, but in person, it's just a nice subtle shimmer. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's card. I will be back on Wednesday with day 3 of the holiday card series. Thanks for watching.